Hello and welcome back to Stories in a Teacup. Today's tea is going to be jasmine tea in the form of needles. It smells so good. It's slightly fruity, or rather floral, very light white tea with jasmine in it, and I just love this tea. I don't find it very often, but when I do, I'm just in my happy place. So if you're new here, which wouldn't be a surprise considering that this channel is very new, in this format, I'm going to read a story for the very first time with you. So it's like when I prepare audiobooks for the very first time and I get to explore what's happening and I get to take notes and just be surprised rather than acting surprised, if you will, or performing the exploration. I genuinely get to be surprised and share those commentaries with you. It's not going to be a straight read. It's going to be a freezing cold read with probably some commentary. So I hope you're here for it with me, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Let's get right into it. Today's story was written by the lovely Celine. I really enjoy working with her. So the way that it works is that I send Celine a bunch of pictograms. They're taken from Rory Story Cubes, and they're basically just elements that she can weave into the story. That takes the pressure off of either of us to make the stories make sense, and it also makes for a very fun and hilarious exploration. By the time I'm reading the story, I have honestly already forgotten the pictograms that I've sent her, so it's basically completely new for me as well. Let's get into it. The only survivor? There was once a man who had to face great danger after the Earth fell into a nuclear war. Most of the fallout was fatal to humankind, to any kind for that matter. But what if somehow it was different? What if some humans have survived this? What is it? What is it about this sentence that I keep having to pick it up? Maybe it's just the nerves because it's the first video. What if some humans have survived this terrible horror? What if animals roam around thinking they are finally free from the evil touch of humans? What if our pets wonder where we have gone? Good point. So I have a dog. She's a mini Aussie. And yeah, she's very confused when we leave her for boarding. And when I came to pick her up the other day from boarding when we were in Boston, she was kind of very confused as to what was going on and just unsure of the world, and it took her a couple of hours to get back to her wiggly self, so she would definitely be a little bit lost, but she's also very affectionate and very attached. But she's an Aussie, and they are Velcro dogs. One of the only survivors is Jerry. He is one of the few people who are lucky enough to be alive, or is he really that lucky? He woke up to the cold ground, broken glasses on the tip of his nose. What had happened, he thought. Opening his eyes, he saw nothing but a blurry brown color. He felt warm though. A nice warm feeling that happens when you sit in front of a fire pit outside with friends. Only this wasn't a fire pit, nor was he with his friends. He was outside of his hometown in broken homes with nothing but leftover bricks scattered across the road, fiddling his glasses as they couldn't stay put, limping across the road filled with a mind full of thoughts. After roaming around longer than he thought he did, he found his house, his family house. His heart felt like it was beating on the outside of his body, walking in the piles of ashes, looking down at belongings burned. Fires that were slowly dying. He felt desperate until he saw something bright laying between the ashes. By the way, I realized that I keep doing this. It is something that whenever I'm in coaching sessions, they're like, Christina, keep calm with your hands. I use my hands a lot, so you will see a lot of this going on, which is also why I'm not wearing my smartwatch, because I don't want to cheat on my steps. The other day I was in a narration session and it was early in the morning-ish, and once I was done, I had supposedly done 5,000 steps, and there's no way I did those. It was all That's when he realized the only thing that had survived was his backpack, the one he had since he was a little boy. He opened it with the zipper to find a pair of glasses that didn't fit and a small pack of jelly beans. I wonder if those are still good. Would jelly beans survive a nuclear catastrophe? Maybe. I wouldn't want to try, and they would probably taste very special. But no, I would not want to try. Also, they seem very old. Luckily though, the backpack fit just enough around his shoulders that he took it with him. Walking with a heavy heart out of his family home, he searched and searched for something with cracks in his vision from his glasses. The moon was slowly rising, along with a craving for some food. Maybe the jelly beans that are 7 years over date? Guess not. So, well, at least he had the same thought about trying out those jelly beans and not doing that. After a few hours of walking, the energy was slipping away and his eyes became heavy. He came across a farm that seemed to be in a pretty good state compared to what he had seen earlier. It was a nice, typical red barn with soil where the plants were too burned to eat from. The light was slowly going away, and the only thing that he could see was the slowly rising moon with the stars. The only beautiful thing that was left. Walking on the ground, he heard some cracks, which were odd considering it was all dirt. Bending down, he placed his fingers in the soil to see where he stepped on, only to feel something hard with a sticky texture. I don't like walking on sticky textures. They always make me feel... A sudden scream came from the distance. Was there someone screaming for help? He stood up to see what was there in the distance, but nothing was there to be seen. The more distance there was, the more it was dark. Cracking sounds in the distance that sounded like nuts being cracked open. Jerry was trying to figure out if there was someone out there who needed help, or maybe it was just his imagination after he figured he would be alone on this earth. The cracking became louder, and so did his heartbeat. I don't blame him. I would be right out of there. Hiding in a barn. Especially at night. I was listening to a podcast the other day while I was walking down a dark path, and at one point, without any warning, the podcaster was changing the voice to something very sinister, and oh boy, my heart skipped a couple of beats. Two reflecting eyes were seen, and before thinking twice, the panic inside of him made him think that he should hide. What if he was in serious danger? What if someone found him who caused all of this? A sudden stab in his leg occurred, and not like a literal stab, but more like a stab that felt like he was on fire. He placed his hand on his leg and limped away from the noise. Limping away, Jerry's other hand was trying to find anything near him. A tree to hide behind, or a building. Finally, his finger sliding against what felt like burnt wood, he jumped on it. It didn't matter what he was jumping on, as long as he could get rid of whatever he was trying to come closer. Of whatever was trying to come closer, not whatever he was trying to come closer to. A pile of ash mixed with straws of hay covered his body, hoping it would also get rid of the smell of himself. Crackings of steps were even closer. A slow sound of sniffing came towards Jerry. His heartbeat was racing, and his fingers were trembling from not only fear, but also the cold air of the night. A few hours have passed. At least that's what it had felt like for Jerry, who has been laying in a pile of ash and hay as still as he could. He hasn't heard anything other than some distant noises that made him flinch. He steadily got out of the pile, trying not to make much noise, and jumped out. The cart made a cracking sound, and with that, he almost jumped in the air from the amount of nerve he had built up over the course of the hours he had spent in the cart. His leg was feeling better, at least there was that, and he wasn't sure if that was a good thing or not. Limping towards where he thought the barn was, he tried making sure that every sound he heard wasn't something trying to take him out. After a long time of searching, he came across a wooden wall. It had some cracks in it, but was still in pretty good condition. The place felt empty, and with every step, he heard either cracking or the sound of ash. As he kept walking, he failed to realize that there were some cracks in the ground, and with that, fell into one of them. He fell on something as hard as concrete. It felt like every bone in his body had broken, but he still managed to sit up. He looked up to see some light, and it wasn't something on fire, luckily. For the first time, he felt like there was life. The end. I like this one. It's a very exploratory story, and it's more about the moments after you wake up and after an absolute catastrophe and you're all by yourself, and that feeling of, oh, I better get exploring and figuring out what to do next. And am I by myself? And what if I'm not by myself? Are the others that are still out there out to get me? But I love that there is a ray of hope at the end, because that does seem very hopeful, that there was life. Yeah. I wish Jerry, the best. Yes, Jerry. Like I said, I really like the story. It was a new format for both Celine and I. She has never written with story cubes. I have, but because I have written those stories, I'm not going to narrate them since I do know what's happening. I'm very excited to try out and check out more stories. I already have a couple more coming, and I will upload those about once a week, maybe more often, we'll see. And I'll also try out other formats over time. But for now, I'm gonna stick to that and just, get used to this. I should just shut up and let you get to it. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or evening, wherever you're from. If you're watching, I hope you liked it. If you did, please hit the like button. And if you would like to see more episodes in the future, hit the subscribe button. And why don't you share with me where you're from in the comments? Where are you tuning in from? Are you in the US? Are you in Europe? Are you further out? I don't know if these stories will be bedtime kids compatible, but yeah, these will be fun to share with you at least, and then you can reshare that at your own discretion. All right, thank you. Bye.